Hello class and welcome back. Right now I want you to make sure that you have your guided practice at home worksheet out. It has 4 boxes at the top and then a couple questions down at the bottom. And I want you to have that ready so that as we go along you can complete it with us, and I'll remind you when we get to those sections what you need to do. And also remember that if you are confused about anything, to make sure that you're writing down your questions or comments down at the bottom of that sheet, and I will read those tomorrow so that we can discuss those during class and make sure we clear any of that up for you. In class, we already discussed the different measurement tools, different measurement objects that we have to use, and we practiced with them. So you guys should remember that those are our rulers, our yardstick, our meter stick, and our tape measure. But today we're going to talk more about how to know when to choose each tool. How do we know when to use a ruler versus when to use a tape measure? And one of the ways that we're going to be able to decide is by estimating the length of our object that it is we want to measure. In order to choose the right tool, there are a few things that we have to remember from the previous day's class. So first, some things to remember about our ruler is that a standard ruler is 12 inches long. We can see that right here on this ruler. And that 12 inches is 1 foot. So we can say that a standard ruler is 12 inches or 1 foot. And we look at the other side, there's centimeters. So we have to remember that you need to check which side you're looking at, because if you're reading the centimeter side, your units are going to be centimeters or cms. If you're reading the inch side here, your units are going to be inch, unless you choose to have 12 inches and turn that into a foot. We talked about that in class, but that's just a reminder. So you need to remember that a ruler is 1 foot or 12 inches. Always remember when we measure that we don't get to start at the very end of the ruler. We have to line up whatever we're measuring with this 0. Let me change the width of that so you can actually see it. We have to line up whatever it is we're measuring with this 0 right here on that line, not at the very end of the ruler. Next, looking at our yardstick, we need to remember that our yardstick is 3 feet in length, or we can also look at it as 36 inches. So our yardstick is actually basically 3 rulers put end to end. So obviously our yardstick is going to be longer than our ruler. So again, when measuring with a yardstick, you'll be using the unit inches. All of this is also equivalent to 1 yard. So it's pretty easy to remember that if you have an entire yardstick, it's 1 yard. Our meter stick's whole length is also 1 meter. But meter sticks and yardsticks are almost about the same length. So a meter stick is just slightly more than 1 yard. In fact, it's 3.28 yards. The units on a meter stick are different than a yardstick, and instead of using inches, we will be using centimeters as our units when using our meter stick. You can see that the notches are closer together and that each unit of measurement is closer together. The last tool that we're going to use is our tape measure. And these tape measures come in different lengths. This one just so happens to be 25 feet, and we're going to use these tape measures anytime we have something that is over 3 feet, because that's the longest that our yardstick and our meter stick will go. So in order to make estimates, it's important that we have some benchmark items. These benchmark items will be units that we know the length of. So let's first start with items that we can know are going to be about 1 foot long. The first item I have here for you is the long side, this side, of a piece of notebook paper. Now that is technically 11 inches, but that's only one inch short of 12 inches, which is a foot. So we can use this notebook paper as a benchmark for 1 foot. If something is about the size of the long end of a piece of notebook paper, it is about 1 foot. Another visual for you is a 2-liter bottle of soda. Again, how tall it is almost a foot. So if something is about as tall as a 2-liter bottle of soda, it's about a foot tall or long. And lastly, I have here for you one of those Subway foot-long sandwiches. So these are obviously almost about a foot long, as their name says, and so if something is about that long, we know that it's about 1 foot. At this time, it would probably be good to fill out your guided practice where it says items that are about 1 foot. You can pick an item and draw that onto your guided practice worksheet. Next, we have items that are about 1 inch. And these Jolly Rancher candies are about 1 inch long. Another cool way we can tell if something is about 1 inch is by looking at our thumbs. And in the picture here, they label it for you. But from the tip of your finger to your knuckle is about 1 inch. So that's cool because we always carry that with us. So you should have that resource on hand. And lastly, we have a paper clip. A paper clip is also about 1 inch long. So any of these items, if anything that you're trying to measure is about the same size as these, then you know you have about 1 inch. Pick one of these items to draw for something that is about 1 inch on your guided practice worksheet. So next we want to look at items that are about a yard or about 3 feet. And these items are going to be about 3 rulers put together end to end. So one of these is a guitar. A guitar is about a yard long. Another example is a baseball bat. And so either of these are going to be about a yard long. So make sure that you fill something out on your guided practice worksheet for something that is about a yard. The last 2 examples that I have to show you are items that are about 1 centimeter and items that are about 1 meter. So for about 1 centimeter, we have these pencils or pens, and it's not the length. We don't want to look at it from this long ways. That is longer than 1 centimeter. However, we do want to look at it from this side. So the width of one pen or one pencil is about 1 centimeter. So if you set your eraser down, how wide your eraser is what is about 1 centimeter. And for about 1 meter, we have the width of a door. So if you're standing inside the doorway and you spread your arms out from one end of the doorway to the other end of the doorway, the length in between the doorway is about 1 meter. You'll want to add the doorway to your guided practice worksheet. The benchmark examples I gave you will come in handy when we start estimating because you're going to use those to make a rough calculation or an educated guess about how long you think the item is. And we'll do that by comparing it to objects that we already know the length. So, like I was saying earlier, if you have an item that you know is about as long as a baseball bat, then you're going to know that it is about a yard long. Please click on this browser to watch the video. Estimating will also come in handy for many real-world situations, like, for example, say you're fishing and you catch a big fish. And you forgot your tape measure. So you would want to estimate the length so that you could tell all of your friends back at school how long the fish was. You might say that it was about the length of a side of a notebook paper, and then you would know that your fish was about a foot long. So when we try to choose the best tool, we're just going to look at how long we think an item is, compare it to our benchmarks, and if we think an object is 1 foot or less, we're going to use our ruler. because our ruler will only go up to 1 foot. If we think an object is between 1 foot and 3 feet, we are going to use our yardstick. And if we think that we may have an object larger than 3 feet, we're going to use our tape measure. Anytime we use our yardstick, we could also use our meter stick if we wanted to do it in metric units instead of the U.S. customary units. So for now, I want you to take your new knowledge and go try to measure an item at home. You have your rulers and you have your tape measurers, so decide whether or not you should use your ruler or your tape measurer, and fill that out at the bottom of your guided practice worksheet. Don't forget to write any questions or comments and bring that sheet back tomorrow, and I'll see you in class.